Would you believe me if I told you there's a website designer out there who works just 10 hours a week, makes $100 an hour, and has completely replaced her 9-to-5 income, but in 1/4 of the hours? And all of that without being on social media. Let me introduce you to Sarah. She is a Squarespace designer, a new mom, one of my incredible past Square Secrets business students. And today she's walking us through exactly how she built her business around nap times, not news feeds. In this interview, you'll hear how Sarah books high-quality clients without blogging or Instagram, charges between $2,400 and $4,000 for streamlined website builds, runs her business in just 10 hours a week while raising her little one at home, and she built everything with zero prior tech experience, just a really smart strategy and a willingness to start. You're gonna love Sarah's story. Let's dive in. All right, Sarah, do tell me, what exactly were you doing before you became a designer? And did you have any web design experience?
So before I became a web designer, I actually worked as a legal assistant for a hot second before I realized that corporate's not for me. And I had a small existential crisis, and then I became a receptionist, and I was making like $20 an hour. And then in that receptionist role, I became a marketer a little bit. It was a really small nonprofit, so we all wore a lot of hats, and I kind of did the marketing. And that's when I first dipped my toes into web design. I built their website for them. I built 2 of their websites actually. And I didn't think that was like a career you could have. Like my, the CEO was like, I know someone that wants a website. You want to do that? And I was like, someone would pay me to do that? Like what? And so that's when it first came to mind that like I could actually do that for a living, but I didn't really have any experience other than that. And I had taken like a couple of graphic design courses in college.
Cool. Okay, I love that. And then, okay, so can you tell me, were those websites on Squarespace? Were they on WordPress? What were they having you build it on?
Yeah, they were Squarespace.
Okay, love that. So your boss had given you that project, and then also like someone else had asked you to do it. And then when did it occur to you like, oh, maybe I can do that as like a legitimate job?
Honestly, I think I had come across one of your blogs as I was like building out their sites because it was the first time I'd ever dipped my toes in web design. And so I came across one of your blogs and then subsequently like your course. And that's when I realized, oh, people are doing this for a living. And so I got on your email list and the rest is history.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then can you tell me about, you have some really interesting offerings. Can you tell me about the different offerings that you have and also the price points on those?
Yes. So I have DIY templates that are not live yet. They're coming out this fall. And then I have a 2-week website, which is kind of like, you know, what you teach in the course, except that I do those from a semi-custom. So I do those from a template, and those are $2,400, and they take me anywhere from like 10 to 20 hours of work. And then I do custom at $4,000.
Love that. Okay. And then I think this semi-custom thing is really interesting. So you have these templates, which then are your starting point, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
For the custom. Okay, cool. And then something which people who are, and also because you're launching a template shop, people think, okay, I want to create templates either to do this as you're doing like semi-custom option where they have, it's like a template that you started with and then you customize it to that person's business. How did you figure out what the design and style of those templates should be? Like, how did you know when you sat down to build them, like, well, what style should I make them? Like, what will people want?
I think just from my experience in working, I work with a lot of photographers and therapists. So I think photographers, a lot of the ones I work with are younger women and they have a certain aesthetic they like. Yeah. And a lot of the therapists too, I work with a lot of younger therapists who have that certain like more refined, editorial, elegant aesthetic. And so just my experience with that is what decided my direction and how I would design the templates.
Okay, and those are 2 kind of different ideal clients as well. Can you talk about niche? Did you pick a niche? Did you not pick a niche? How did you think about that?
Yeah, I was like, Paige is going to be disappointed in me today. I did not niche right away.
That's
I had a really hard time niching, and I know a lot of people do. And so I think, and it took me 3 years to get to the point where I'm making a full-time income. And I think probably is because I didn't niche right away. Mm-hmm. And it just was really, you know, as a beginner designer, you're like, you want to work with everybody. And right now I say that my niche is online service providers, which is still really vague and broad. But I just got into photographers and therapists, and now I just get referrals from them. And I actually work with an SEO agency is one of my clients. She sends me a lot of work for therapists. But that's kind of how I got into photographers and therapists. And now I'm like online service providers, which is working for me. I think I'm getting a trend towards niching in style actually, because industry, there's a lot of industry niches out there for photographers and therapists. So I think niching by style is how I'm going to, as I'm redoing my website, is how I'm going to market it.
Yeah, we'll put some clips of your website on there. I totally agree that like your style, one, I love it. And two, it's like, it's very clear. And so I think I totally agree that like niching by style is also a fully valid like choice. So
yeah,
cool.
Definitely.
Okay, cool. And then, okay, coming back to you're working this job and you mentioned it took you a few years until you went full-time as a website designer. Can you tell me about like, walk me through going from like working for someone else to working for yourself and what that journey looked like?
Working at this nonprofit, making $20 an hour, I was like, this is not what I want to do the rest of my life. Came across you, jumped in, and decided I was going to be a web designer. And I was like, I'm going to be full-time within 3 months. You know, that was my goal. And I had a lot of mindset issues. Honestly, I think early on, if I had worked through those, that would have been really helpful. But in the grand scheme of things, 3 years is not a long time either. I think that like, if you go into it thinking like, I'll be full-time within 3 years, like that's a really good goal too. Because a lot of people just quit business right away, you know, like it's a success to still be going, I think. But yeah, the journey was just a lot mindset wise. And so once I joined an online coaching program too, to get some more one-on-one support. And that was really helpful. And I think working through those things is what really helped me like put the blinders on and focus.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then, yeah, how did you make the decision? When were you ready? That's another thing which people really struggle with. Like, how do I determine when I'm ready to go full time? What was that decision like for you?
Yeah, I've heard it both ways. Some people needing like the push of like, you just need to cut all ties, jump in and do it. And that's kind of what I did. Well, I actually was nannying a little bit as a little cushion, and that stressed me out a lot. And so I think you need to know yourself and know like once maybe you're making half of your income if you'd be comfortable with that, or maybe you've totally replaced your income before you go full time. I think it really depends on a lot of things. Like if you're single or if you have a family, I think it really comes down to like knowing yourself, what you'd be comfortable with, and like, do you have leads coming in at all? Because if you have not, you have to just know where you're at and what you're comfortable with, I think.
It's interesting. I think I'm one of those people who like, I would make my entire, like if I was able to start again, I would be the type of person who's like, I need to make it in like my full salary in my business before I like feel comfortable to quit. But yeah, I just put into this situation, I was like forced to go the other way, which was like emotionally not enjoyable, but
yeah.
got me there faster.
Right, exactly. And I think too, you hear those like stories of people that do cut all ties and then they're forced to do it. And that's like a glamorous story. And so you're like, I can do that, but you just need to know your own personality.
Yeah, exactly. I think both solutions are good solutions for different people. So totally.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. I noticed in our student community a little while back, you mentioned you were fully booked. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Can you tell me what went into that happening, do you think? Like, what are you doing differently than designers who are struggling to book themselves in their business?
I think my biggest thing has been strategic partnerships. I didn't do social media really. I tried the blogging thing. That was tough for me. I just like consistency. It has been tough for me, especially with a 15-month-old. And so I decided strategic partnerships and cold emailing were going to be my strategies. And that's what's worked for me. So I have one of my strategic partnerships was an SEO agency, and she sends me a lot of work each month. So that's been a blessing. Yeah.
That's cool. And then how did you meet that girl? How did you set that up? If someone wants to set up a strategic partnership, how do they...
Cold emailing. Yeah. So everything kind of starts back with, I got my initial clients from a Facebook group and then also cold emails. So that's how I met this woman, is I had seen that she was looking for a designer, but her job posting was down. So I just emailed her and was like, hey, I would love to work together if you feel like there's an opportunity. And she was like, yeah, actually, that would be great. And so we've been working together for over a year now.
Okay. And then also tell me about cold emailing. So people wonder, like, what have you found to be most effective, and have you tried different things? So some people are like, do I like mass pitch the same thing? Do I like create a custom Loom video and like make it more personalized to that business? Like, what do you find is most effective, or have you learned anything about like successful cold emails over time?
Yes, I have tried a few things, and I also had mindset issues about cold email. I was like, this isn't a real marketing strategy. Like, you're not getting leads on autopilot. But then I think like there's industries built on the backs of cold emailing. And so Anyway, that's just a side note. But I tried like the bulk emails, like just like no personalization, and I would send them to like 100 people. And then I would try like really picking out specific people I wanted to reach out to, really personalize with their name. I never did the video, like custom video or anything for them. And honestly, the response rate was similar. So if I sent like 10 really personalized email, I would get 1 or 2 responses. And if I sent 100 really broad, vague email, I'd get like 1 or 2 responses. But overall, I think the quality of responses was better from the more personalized ones.
That makes sense.
Yep.
And then can you tell me about if someone's thinking about doing cold email as a marketing strategy? Like what's a typical, I don't know if you call it like hit rate, but like how many emails do you tend to need to send to get an actual client from it, if that makes sense?
Yeah, honestly, for a while, I was sending 10 emails and getting 1 client, which I think is really probably not common with cold emails, but I was being picky about who I was emailing. So I think probably if you send I would say if you send 50 emails, you should expect like of more personalized ones, you should expect to be able to get at least a client from that and multiple responses.
Yeah, that's really good. And can you tell me what normally goes into an email? Like what are you saying roughly?
Yeah. In the beginning, it was like, hey, I'm trying to build my portfolio. Like, would love to work within your budget. People liked that. And then I would show them my price, my typical price anyway. And I'd be like, how does that work for you? And a lot of times they'd be like, okay. But now that I have more experience and I don't necessarily want to say I'll work within your budget, I like to go for people who are local. It feels more legit to them. If I'm like, hey, I'm a local web designer in your area. This is my experience. This is how I think that I could benefit you. And that works too. I think the local piece for some reason just like feels more legitimate than the typical emails you get, especially if you're like, we could meet up in person. It's like, oh, this isn't a typical, spam email.
I love that. That's really good.
Yeah.
It also shows that there's so much opportunity. Like some people think like, oh, there's so many website designers. And so therefore there's no room for me or whatever. But like there is something to be said for if you want to work with the people in your, I don't agree with that in general, but that's a different thing.
Right.
But also like the fact that like each of us has an individual opportunity, which like you have that opportunity, which I don't have because I'm not in your area. And so yeah, definitely. And two, photographers, it feels as a web designer, it feels like a really like oversaturated niche, but I would get responses from photographers who are like, thank you for doing this. We need you. We need web designers for photographers. I'm like, don't you know there's a billion of us out there, but they just don't know. So yeah, that's interesting.
Now, if you're watching this and thinking, wonder if I could be a web designer too, then that is exactly why I created the Dream Client Booking Blueprint. It is a 5-day guided challenge designed to help you land your first dream web design client without all of the overwhelm. Whether you are just starting out or pivoting into website design, this challenge provides daily bite-sized tasks to help you build your confidence and, most importantly, your client base. You're going to define your ideal client, price your services with clarity, craft a really compelling portfolio, even if you don't have any clients to speak of right now, and learn how to craft a winning pitch. So if you're ready to turn your design passion into a paid profession, then check out the blueprint. It is exceptionally affordable, meaning you can test out a potential design career for less than the price of dinner. Click the link in the description below to secure your copy of the Dream Client Booking Blueprint.
Yeah, so what would you say to someone who's like, oh, I'm not sure if I should get into it. It feels like a saturated market. What has your experience been?
For photographers specifically, I think go for it if that's who you want to work with. And I think especially if you have a unique style, like there's always going to be specific people who want to work with you. I think niching for style in the photography industry might be a little more important because there are a lot of web designers, especially with Showit. I think Showit designers have a really common aesthetic. So I think if you can differentiate your style within the photography niche, I think that would be beneficial.
I love that. And then can you also, you bring up another perfect point, which people always wonder is like, do I need to do Showit if I want to work with photographers? Do photographers want Squarespace? Have you also offered Showit? What has your thoughts been?
Yeah, I dipped my toes into Showit because I was like, I need to do Showit. I like photographers, but honestly, I don't think that's necessary. There are going to be photographers who specifically want Showit, and that's fine. You're just not for them. But in my experience, a lot of photographers don't even know or care about the different platforms. If they like your style, if they want like a marketing friendly website, like it doesn't matter to them what what platform you're on.
Okay, cool. And then how did you find, Showit versus Squarespace actually, like in terms of being the designer and also like giving that to a client too?
Well, I didn't know about Showit until after I had taken your course. So I was already a team Squarespace. And then when Showit kind of became more popular, I looked into it. And then I was like, I like Squarespace better. I know Squarespace. I know that this platform, has a solid base and following, and it's always improving. And it's easy for my clients to update, and they really like it. And so that's why I decided to stay with Squarespace and not even bother with Showit.
Also, I think it's interesting, as we were mentioning, you like fully booked out your business. And then it's like, clearly there's enough photographers who want Squarespace to like make it.
Yeah.
So you can offer that if you want to, but you don't have to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
Also, fun question. Tell me about earnings now versus like when you've worked past jobs, and also the number of hours that you're working too.
Yes. So like I mentioned, I was working full time at a nonprofit, making $20 an hour. And at this point, and actually I forgot to mention this, I did a quick little stint at an agency where I would have made like $50,000 a year. It was a Squarespace web design agency actually. And then they started to not do so hot, so they had to do layoffs, whatever. It ended up being a blessing because now I am working about 10 hours a week, averaging $100 an hour, and I'm going to make that same salary, but in a quarter of the time.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, and then tell me about this like 10 hours a week. So what are you doing in the 10 hours a week? And like how many clients do you tend to be able to like take on, or how many projects are you able to fit into? I think you mentioned you're doing the 2-week process, right?
Yes, I primarily do those semi-custom 2-week websites. And I've gotten to a point where that's just like such a smooth process that I don't spend a lot of time on it. And so that's what I'm primarily working on. But I also have hired a contractor who takes 1 to 2 of them a month. So that's just some more like passive income coming in. And so that's how I'm able to make a full-time income, is one with the contractor, and then one, just the really smooth process. It doesn't take me a lot of time, even though I'm not charging like buku bucks, it's $2,400 for a semi-custom. But for me, it's really easy and simple to get those out and just churn through them.
And then can you tell me about like number of hours on one of these semi-custom? So you're taking a template, which you've already created, and then you're customizing it to that client. Can you tell me about number of hours that it takes you on average for the semi-custom versus like the full custom?
I would say it takes me 10 to 20 hours, which is kind of a big gap. Probably 15 to 20 hours is more like it for the semi-custom. And then for a custom design, it's probably at least double that.
Yep. So you have, as you mentioned, a 15-month-old. There's a lot of new moms who take my courses, which is interesting because that's not who I expected to be marketing to, but it turns out. Can you tell me about like, if someone's thinking about, can I do this with a baby? How does this work? Like, how does it work for you? And what is mom life and business web designer life like?
I honestly was thinking about this because when I took your course, I wasn't a mom. I was 23 years old, wasn't really thinking about it. I just knew I didn't want to be a receptionist / marketer forever. And now I'm like, wow, what a blessing that I have this. Like, I think it was honestly providential because I work during nap times and then I work some evenings. And if I'm really busy, like I live an hour and a half away from my parents, so I'll go home for a couple days to get some focus work done. But like primarily I just work around like my little one's schedule. So nap time and a little bit in the evenings. And like, it's such a gift to be able to be home with him and not have to put him in daycare. Like I love that. And there's not a day goes by that I'm not really grateful for that.
That's so good. I'm super happy to hear it. And then can you also tell me about, so take me back actually to the beginning. Talk to me about like figuring out your marketing strategy and how did you get that first client, or like, let's say like first 3 clients, for example?
Well, when I took your course, I was like, I'm going to do Pinterest and blogging. And I did that for a little bit, but I didn't really stick with it. But I got my first few clients from a Facebook group. I just introduced myself. And I know that's a strategy too that people talk about in your course. And I think it is an effective one. So that's how I got my first few clients. And then after that, it was the cold emails. And I thought the cold emails would just be like a temporary strategy, but it's turned out to work out well for me. And then the strategic partnerships. So basically all comes back to cold emailing and Facebook groups is how I've gotten my clients, and now some referrals.
I love that. Okay. And then tell me about this Facebook group. So some people are like, Facebook groups don't work. other people are like,
Yeah.
it's the best thing in the world. Like, what
Yeah.
was the Facebook group? And like, what have you found in terms of like, are some groups better than others? Do you have theories on why?
Yeah, so this was a really specific Facebook group called Catholic Women in Business. And in the beginning, I was working with like Christian women. And so that worked really well. I've since like broadened my my niche, but I think just because it was a really active small group, because I've tried the really big groups and they get zero engagement. Nobody's interested. There's a lot of spam in those groups. So I think the key is finding a specific group, even if you're not necessarily interested in working like, I'm not just working with Catholic women anymore, but it's a really specific engaged group. And so I think that was the key.
Yeah. Tell me, what is small and large? Like, what kind of numbers would you say are like good and small and large?
Yeah, when I posted in this group, I think there was like 4,000 members. It's since grown, but the big groups are like the 50,000 member ones. Honestly, I think under 10,000 would be good. Even smaller, like don't be afraid of posting in quite a small group.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And then when it comes to the strategic partnerships, I want to get into that too, because that's something which not a lot of people think of. So again, you had cold emailed, pitched. So you knew like, okay, I want a strategic partner. I want someone to refer me clients. And then how did you figure out like, okay, I want to pitch this specific like SEO agency? I
think it was just finding people. Like one, I saw that she had a job posting for a web designer. So I knew she was interested. And I didn't want a job. I just wanted, to be, I'm a contractor for her. And so I think finding, if someone has an interest in it, that's obviously really helpful. Otherwise, finding people that you think you're going to jive with, that you have similar niches, because it doesn't hurt to ask. You could send a million emails and the only loss is time, but it doesn't take that much time to send emails. And I think you will be rewarded by sending them. I think basically the people that you think that you and your clients would both benefit from.
Okay, so you mentioned at the beginning that mindset was one of the things that was like holding you back and making you take like a lot longer to build a business than you think it could have if you didn't have the mindset problems. Can you talk to me about like, what were the fears first? And then like, how did you actually get yourself through them?
Yeah. Well, it was so much imposter syndrome, which I know any new designer, any new entrepreneur is going to struggle with. It's like, I'm not good enough. There's so many designers out there. They're so much better than me. Why would anyone pick me over them? All those sorts of things. And I kind of came back to, just because it's not perfect, as a perfectionist, I want my designs to be perfect, but just because it's not perfect doesn't mean it's not good. And it doesn't mean it's not a perfect fit for someone, because there's specific people, like you might like really admire this designer and think they're amazing, but your client could look at that and be like, they don't like it. They like your specific style. And there's a business coach that I'm in her group coaching, and she says, just do B+. Actually, she says B-, do B- work, get it out there. You can always make it better once you get it out there. And so those were some helpful things for me to just like buck up and do it. And, I can make it better as I go. I'm always growing as a designer. It doesn't need to be perfect right now.
Yeah, I love that. Okay. And then for someone else who is on the fence and they're thinking about like looking at my courses, not quite sure, are they good? Are they worth it? Does it actually get you to where you want to be as a designer? Can you give your experienced opinions as having gone through them?
Yeah, I honestly would recommend it to anyone. It has been, not to be dramatic, but life-changing. Like I mentioned, being able to stay at home with my son, like makes me want to tear up. Like if I hadn't taken that course, I'd probably have to put him in daycare and I'd be working a regular job and I would hate my life. But now I get to work when I want to. I have the skills that I need from your course and the confidence I need, even though you're still going to struggle with, like the imposter syndrome and stuff, but like it really does give you the confidence you need to just start. And so I wouldn't take it back for anything, and I would recommend it to anybody.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, amazing.